Every sentence should feel like a discovery the world ignored. Minimal emotion. Let the tone feel as if you're revealing something uncomfortable, something hidden. Slow pacing, like walking through ruins that still whisper. The beginning of the siege of Leningrad in September 1941 marks one of the most tragic and brutal chapters of World War II. Lasting nearly 900 days, it became one of the longest and deadliest sieges in human history. The opening phase of this vast military and humanitarian catastrophe began as part of Operation Barbarossa, when Nazi Germany launched a massive invasion of the Soviet Union on June 22, 1941. Within weeks, German Army Group North pushed deep into the Baltic region, capturing key cities, breaking Soviet defenses, and moving toward their primary objective, Leningrad, the historic city on the Neva River, cradle of the Russian Revolution, and the Soviet Union's second-largest urban center. From the start, Adolf Hitler viewed Leningrad as a symbolic and strategic prize. The city represented both cultural heritage and industrial power, housing critical factories, shipyards, and defense industries. But beyond its practical importance, Hitler wanted Leningrad wiped from the map. According to Nazi directives, the city was not to be occupied, but destroyed. The German High Command planned to encircle the city completely, starve its population, and eliminate it as a center of resistance. Their goal was not only military victory, but extermination. By early July 1941, German forces had advanced rapidly through the Baltic states. Army Group North, under Field Marshal Wilhelm Ritter von Leeb, captured Riga and pushed toward the Luga River line, the last major defensive barrier before Leningrad. Soviet forces, under Marshal Kliment Voroshilov and later General Georgy Zhukov, attempted to halt the German advance. The city mobilized hundreds of thousands of civilians to dig trenches, build fortifications, and prepare defensive positions. Despite these efforts, German armored units broke through key lines of resistance. In August, the Germans captured Narva and Tallinn, cutting off Soviet naval forces in the Baltic Fleet. Meanwhile, Finnish forces, aligned with Germany, attacked from the north. Although Finland did not seek to capture Leningrad itself, its advance along the Karelian Isthmus closed the northern approaches, further tightening the ring around the city. By early September, Leningrad was effectively surrounded from the south, east, and north. On September 8, 1941, the Germans captured Shlisselburg, located on the southern shore of Lake Ladoga. This moment is officially recognized as the beginning of the siege of Leningrad. With Shlisselburg in German hands, all land routes to the city were severed. Leningrad, home to more than 3 million people, was now completely cut off from the rest of the Soviet Union. Only one narrow lifeline remained, Lake Ladoga to the east, which would later become famous as the Road of Life, the only route for evacuations and supplies. The initial bombardments of the city were devastating. German artillery and Luftwaffe bombers targeted factories, warehouses, residential neighborhoods, and food depots. On September 12, one of the city's main food warehouses was destroyed, significantly reducing available supplies. What the Germans could not capture, they aimed to starve. Hitler explicitly ordered that no surrender terms be accepted. The population was meant to die. Inside the city, chaos began to spread. The Soviet government underestimated the speed of the German advance and failed to evacuate civilians in time. As a result, more than 2.5 million civilians remained trapped alongside the Red Army's defenders. Food rations were quickly reduced. By November 1941, the daily bread ration for civilians reached the lowest level, just 125 grams per day for workers, less for others. Hunger ravaged the city. People collapsed in the streets, factories shut down, and the dead lay unburied as winter approached. The first winter of the siege, 1941 to 1942, became infamous. Temperatures dropped to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Electricity was cut. Heating systems failed. Families burned furniture and books just to survive. Tram service stopped. Pipes froze. People resorted to boiling wallpaper glue for food. Cannibalism cases were recorded. Despite everything, Leningrad did not surrender. Throughout the opening phase of the siege, the Soviet government sought to keep the city alive by transporting supplies across Lake Ladoga. During the warmer months, barges carried food under enemy fire. When winter came and the ice froze, trucks started driving across the ice, creating the road of life. Drivers risked their lives daily as German planes bombed the ice and vehicles sometimes broke through into the frozen water. Still, thousands of tons of food reached the city, and hundreds of thousands of civilians were evacuated. Militarily, the opening months of the siege were devastating for both sides. German infantry and artillery continued attempts to break into the city, while the Red Army launched repeated counterattacks to break the encirclement. None succeeded. The city's defenders dug deep trenches, built anti-tank obstacles, and fortified every street. The civilian population joined the defense. Women, teenagers, and the elderly worked in night shifts, filling sandbags, repairing buildings, and manufacturing weapons. Despite being cut off, Leningrad continued to produce tanks, shells, and equipment for the war effort. Soldiers fought not only on the outskirts, but inside the city, maintaining morale and discipline under unimaginable conditions. German propagandists repeatedly claimed the city was finished, yet every attempt to force a surrender failed. By the end of 1941, Hitler believed Leningrad was doomed, but what he underestimated was the resilience of its people. The opening phase of the siege revealed a powerful truth. The city would not give up, even in the face of starvation, freezing temperatures, and constant bombardments. Leningrad held firm. The beginning of the siege of Leningrad represents a moment when the war reached its darkest depths. It became a test of endurance, humanity, and survival. Although the siege would continue until January 1944, the tragedy and heroism of the opening months define its legacy. More than 1 million civilians died, yet the city never surrendered. The resistance of Leningrad stands today as one of the most remarkable examples of courage in modern history.